Welcome to Unfiltered, a podcast where I go deep with successful entrepreneurs and reveal what their journeys to success really look like. I'm your host, Mandy Schulis, owner of Mandy Schulis & Co., fractional COO, story strategist, and executive coach. I believe in story above all else. After I overcame domestic abuse and rebuilt my career, I've made it my life's mission to show other entrepreneurs the power behind their personal stories. Today, I'm excited to bring you Anita Arredondo, certified nutrition coach, domestic abuse survivor, melanoma, and breast cancer survivor. Let's get unfiltered. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. I should add in there, she's also one of my closest friends and somebody I'm always excited about all of my guests, but this is going to be really good.
It's going to, like you said, you're going raw and unfiltered.
Well, why don't we start about where you're from, where you grew up, what that looks like. Let's start easy.
Okay. I was born and raised here in Tampa. Have twin brothers, and my mom blended family. I went to Plant High School, went to Christ the King, Coleman, Plant, went on to USF, and life kind of made some twists and turns along the way. But Tampa's always been my home. My mom married my stepfather, and then we had the Brady Bunch with 3 stepbrothers and a stepsister. So I call us the Motley Crew.
Ooh, I like that.
So yeah,
I like
pretty big family.
All right. Yeah, Brady Bunch is kind of cutesy. Motley Crew, I was like, I can relate to that a little bit more. Yes. You know, with my 3-year-old Beau, he's almost 3, so we're just going to call him 3. You know, he's like Wreck-It Ralph. He's jumping off of furniture. There's nothing cutesy about my blended family.
Yep, I have 7 nieces and nephews, and then my 2 girls. Ashley's 32, Alyssa's 19. So we're pretty big. I had the first grandchild and the last grandchild. So everybody else is in between.
Oh my gosh. I'm definitely not ready to be a grandma. I'm scared enough of Ella turning 13. I'm not prepared. And I know I'm not prepared.
And I'm a grandmother. So I'm a grandmother of 2. Anthony's 13. Amelia's 8. So I'm pretty busy.
You're a hot grandma, man. I hope I look like you when I'm a grandma.
Thank you.
Well, let's talk a little bit about street cred, certifications, what you're doing with your life, because obviously we're moms, but we're entrepreneurs too.
So I have an associate's degree in management marketing, and I have a bachelor's degree in business. I went on to get my certified nutrition coach because I really wanted to help people because of everything that I had been through.
Yeah. So you've got one hell of a story, and I'm super excited to dig into it. Let's see. What did you want to be when you grew up?
Well, I wanted to be an attorney.
Okay.
Which is funny because your husband's one. One of my twin brothers is one. I'm not a twin. They are twins. And then I wanted to be a nurse. And then I wanted to be a teacher. So I started my master's degree in teaching and then ended up getting breast cancer and didn't finish my master's degree in teaching. But I knew I wanted to do something with people and helping people and doing something to make somebody's life better.
If you're open to it.
I'm open to anything.
I would really love to dive into the breast cancer first, because I keep seeing on Facebook and Instagram people announcing I have breast cancer. I have all types of cancer, but especially breast cancer. And it seems like the incidence is exponentially growing, which is super scary.
Yeah. Well, now you're going to get me. You're going to get me. I knew you were going to get me.
Well, you say you don't have a twin, but for those of you that can't see the video, Anita and I are both rocking hot pink because it is February, self-love, cancer, I believe heart disease awareness, and then the breast cancer is October, and anyway.
And it's also the colors of my business.
Exactly, and we're going to dig into that too.
Yes.
But first, let's start with how this all started.
Well, I feel like when I look back on it, I feel like I was in the best shape of my life. You know, they say, oh, yeah, you were so thin and you were so this and you were so that. But it was this silent thing that was going on inside of me. So prior to finding out that I had breast cancer, I had melanoma, and that was in my back. And I went through that, and, they had to cut it all out, go all the way down to my muscle in my back. And that was pretty tough. But made it through that. Okay, everything's great. And about a year and a half, 2 years later, I went in for my first mammogram. First, like I waited till I was 41. So, you know, didn't do 40. But by the time you make the appointment and you do all of that, it takes like what, 6 months just to get in anywhere.
Yep. I'm
But
waiting on mine right now.
so I went in and had my appointment, and they called me back and they said that they found some suspicious spots or whatever. They wanted to do a biopsy. I was like, okay, yeah, that's all right. They would always tell me I had dense breasts. Okay, well, that's just dense breasts. Okay. So I did the biopsy, and I can tell you exactly where I was when I got the call. I was literally in Publix, and I had the cart full. My youngest was at Seaborn, back then. I was doing the grocery shopping, and I get the call, and they say, "We need you to come in." And you know me, Mandy. Got the cart full of groceries, and I said, "No, I'm not coming in. You're going to tell me over the phone." "Well, we can't do that." And I said, "Well, you're going to do it. You're going to tell me, because I'm not I'm not going." And I guess I felt like, okay, if I go, it's real. So they said, "It's not good. It's cancer, and we need you to come in, and we need to talk to you more about it." And I said, "Okay." And I think I was in shock, and had the groceries and everything. So I called Tony, my husband, and I said, "Well, they're calling me in. They say it's not good. It's cancer, blah, blah, blah." And he's like, "Just leave the groceries and come home and blah, blah, blah. We'll just leave Alyssa at Seaborn." And I go, "No, I'm going to finish." And he's like, "What?"
That's what we do. I was in labor and I did my hair first.
Exactly. I said, "I'm going to finish." And he's like, "Are you crazy?" And I go, "No." So I checked out. I went home. He's like, "Just leave the groceries." And I said, "No, we're putting all the groceries away. We're going to leave her at Seaborn, and we're going to go." And I really think I was still in shock. I just kind of wanted to go about my day so that I didn't have to feel it. So then we went and we sat down with the lady, and she said that um, it was, invasive lobular carcinoma, um, and that I needed to go see, the oncologist and this and that. And to tell you that I felt like my life was over, I did. I felt like I'm never going to see this little girl grow up. Never going to see my daughter grow up, my other one get married. I had just had a grandbaby. Little Anthony was like, I don't know, one. Yeah, he was one, because this happened in 2011. And the ball just started rolling. I I was very process oriented. And I remember sitting there with my husband saying all the things that you say when you know you're not going to make it. And he said to me, and I tell this to everybody, he said, "Sit down. You have 2 minutes to have a pity party. 2." And he said, "And I'm going to time you." And he said, "And at the end of those 2 minutes, you're going to pull your bootstraps back up, and you are going to be the badass son of a bitch wife that I married." And I said, I was just like in shock. And he goes, "Go." And
Tony and Matt have that in common. Like,
I-
let's go, let's go, let's go.
And I did. And I was just like, I got it all out, like fears and everything, and how much I loved him, how much I didn't want to leave him and our child that was in second grade at the time, first, second grade, somewhere around there. And then he's like, "Okay, that's it. What do we do next? Let's go." And we went, and they wanted to just do a lumpectomy. And I was like, "Okay, well, where's the lump? Because I don't feel a lump." And so I said, "Nope, we're going to take them both off." So I had both of them removed and fought with the insurance company. Like, that is just like something you shouldn't have to deal with. But, why am I going to have them removed and then go back and have the plastic surgeon put in the expanders? Like, why can't we just do this all at one time? It's going to save you money. And so I went through all of that, and process oriented, as like I say. And I remember the surgeon coming in and saying to me, well, because I had asked him, if this was your wife, what would you do? And he said, I'd do a lumpectomy, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, yeah, I'm not, no. And it was my gut telling me, just get him, whack him. And he says, you know what? He said, you did a really good thing. And I said, what do you mean? And he goes, because when we opened you up, it was all in your right breast. And I said, what? And he said, yeah. He said they were little grains of sand. Okay. And I had like, I don't know, 24 lymph nodes taken out of my right arm because it had gone into my lymph already. And then like 4 to 6 taken out of my left because they had to make sure it hadn't transferred into the other breast. So, so then I went through the whole reconstruction, and then like up until 2020, I had another surgery in 2020 because they would fall out of the pocket, and I ended up going smaller. So it's just been such a journey. They they cut my C-section open and took skin and made my nipples and areola because that was the only way to make them look real. But it's been a long time now, so I don't really have any anymore. but I told my husband I'm not going anywhere, so this is what you get. So it's been a journey. I'm part of the Affirmations Project, which is very near and dear to my heart, and I was in their first year. And it's body painting an affirmation word across your chest and being photographed, and just to show other women about self-love, and scars don't define you. And I believe that, because scars don't define you. And I picked the word stronger. And I picked it because my mom used to always tell me, if I would lose a job, or, I ended up stopping school or whatever. And she's like, you're so strong. You just get stronger. Every time something happens to you, you get stronger and stronger and stronger because you didn't follow the path that I set out for you, like my brothers did, high school, college, job. I just kind of got married early and had one kid, and, the story, but you're going to make me say it.
Well, that's the whole point of Unfiltered, is over and over and over again. For whatever reason, people are my superpower. One of. Mm-hmm. And that's how you and I met.
And it's funny. That's a funny story.
Yeah. So we don't talk about these things. And the unfortunate part of in my story, I'll turn the light back on myself for a second and give you a chance to regroup, because I know how amazing your story is, but I also know it never gets easier. It's
because
not something...
I saw you tears in your eyes as there were tears in mine. So,
well, and that's the thing. I didn't know a lot of the things that were happening to me until someone told me. Just like with cancer, I've had a couple of mammograms because I also have dense breasts, and I have had cysts and things that I was, terrified. Oh my gosh, what if it's cancer? And I still remember the nurse telling me the first time Ella was a baby when this happened. So late 20s, early 30s. And I remember her telling me cancer doesn't hurt. When they call it a silent killer, there are no warning signs.
Nope.
And I just remember feeling like the floor dropped out of me. And it's like you're constantly worried. And the funny part is, it's not funny, but Matt thought I said titties to something the other day, and I was talking about cancer. I was like, no, not men. I was like, no, actually, men can get breast cancer.
Men do get. There's a big statistic. I'd have to pull it up, but some of the things that I've done, it's a lot of men. And my husband wears the shirt.
Mm-hmm. It's and. This, when I started Unfiltered, I thought it was going to be for women only. And the more that I'm talking to women like us, the more I'm like, that's not fair. Like, men deserve a seat at the table too, because even if they're not necessarily going through it, you and I were just talking, your husband was the caretaker. Just like my husband's had to take care of me through 5 surgeries since we got together. It's crazy.
And Tony told me the other day, he said, I did what I needed to do for you and Alyssa, but nobody tapped into how I felt about it. I felt like I was losing my wife. I didn't know if I was going to lose my wife. I was having to work, take care of a small child, in a back then, McDonald's. And I'm like, oh my God. And
We didn't know any
yeah,
better.
we didn't know. And, and take care of me and surgeries. And then a year of chemo, and I lost my hair and all of it. And being there for me emotionally, because I I look at myself, I don't see that I'm pretty. And then my husband tells me I'm pretty. But then when you lose your hair and you lose your your breasts, and your whole life is just, who am I? Where do I go from here? Like, what am I? And, am I a shell of a person? No, I could have been a shell of a person, or I channeled it into something else. And I did the affirmations project, and I came out of what I could have just been small. And you've never known me to be small.
Well, I mean,
I used to be.
size-wise,
Yeah, well,
little.
5 foot.
She's pocket-sized.
Fun size is what my husband calls it.
When Matt and I got married, he looked at me, and if you look at my wedding pictures, I am dying laughing. I am newly pregnant, which now everyone knows, so it's not a secret. We found out we were pregnant with Beau, I think a month after we got engaged, not even, like 2 weeks. And he looks at me and he goes, I told you till the mother effing wheels fall off. And I'm dying laughing because I'm trying not to get sick. I was so sick the whole pregnancy. So if you look at my wedding photos, the joy and just, I'm dying laughing. And it is such a blessing that God puts men like that in our lives when we need them the most.
Yeah, you're Matt and my Tony, man. I wouldn't have the strength that I have to be the person I am, because he allows me to be that person, and to be strong, bold, outspoken. Like, I tell people, like, we'll go somewhere and he'll just like grab himself a drink or something, and I'm just flitting around the room, and he's just, and I'm karaokeing and dancing and everything, because I'm living life out loud, okay? And he just rolls his eyes. That's Anita. That's whatever. And when we did the book together, and they were talking about me, and I looked across the room, and he's just silent, looking at me with such pride. And what I want to tell him is, you're looking at me with pride, but I'm looking at you with gratefulness. Grateful that I met you on matchmaker.com. Grateful.
Bumble over here.
I know, right?
Don't underestimate the power of online dating.
Matchmaker.com way back in, like,
I didn't even know that was a thing.
2002, I think it was. 2000 and yeah, we met in 2001, married in 2002. And him just embracing the person that I am, and I wasn't that person prior to him. I became that person because I was allowed to be myself. And I was allowed to be myself around him, which I knew when I got sick, he was it. He's my rock. He's like, you're Matt. And we talk about this all the time, that we are two of the very lucky ones that got a second chance, and really got some good ones.
I'll say it because you just alluded to it. I feel like I had it all together on paper. And one of the reasons people always go, oh, you're a, fractional COO. What does that have to do with social media coaching? I'm like, everything. It's something I harp on my clients all the time about, showing up authentically. You know this story, everything else. And it's because when you look at the pictures of me when I was married to my ex-husband, you can see, like, I look perfect in several of them. I had photo shoots done, and I was skinny. I was a beach body coach. I was a trainer. I'm dead behind the eyes. You can see it. And
and me, it's like, I look small. I look not afraid, but I look timid, and that's not me.
Oh, not even close.
I look timid, but I was also 20 years old.
Well, that's the thing. I was 22, and I was 35 by the time it was all said and done. Mm-hmm. And I joked that my husband now, Matt, just like your Tony, gave me permission to talk, and now he can't get me to shut up.
I know, right?
Like, God, woman, will you just sit down?
This morning, put your phone down. Focus on me.
That sounds like Matt. He's like, I know you're working. I know you're building relationships. I know you're on a mission, but hey, can we have dinner without? It was like, okay, good reminder.
Put your phone down.
But
we do that. Put your phone down.
Yep,
Like,
we have to. I
Mhm.
mean, otherwise Ellisie's up in her room doing God knows what, and we have family night every Friday night. We either do Shabbat, because Matt's
Right.
Jewish, or we do movie night. In fact, I think we're going to try to see The Wish on Friday this week.
Oh,
I don't know.
fun.
Supposedly it's
It's
really
good.
good. You've seen it?
Not yet, but
Okay,
I've seen a
I've
little.
I've seen it's supposedly good. But going back to kind of the power of social media, and we're talking a lot about things that people don't really understand. I think
Yeah.
if you've never been through it, you don't get it.
Well, you always tell me, you know, share your story, talk about yourself, and I'm always very reluctant because I feel like that small part of me still, is there. And like my husband's like, "Do you understand like, you own a business and you're part owner of my business?" He's a pool contractor. And I don't
I've
see
seen
it.
what he does. It's way more than that. You create
Well,
paradise in people's backyards. That
yes.
part of things, but
TampaPoolPro.com. Tony is, probably the hardest working, most conscientious man I know. And he's the one that always lifts me up. You can do this. You can do this, babe. You got it. And that's what, I know I have it in me, but people like you and people like him that see me for who I really am, not me seeing myself for who I used to be. And that's hard. That's a hard, you know, box
you
to
got to
come
separate it.
out of. And, I'm not one to be like, hey, look at me, look at me, look at me. But you know what? I think I'm doing some pretty good work.
Well, but the thing about it is a lot of people feel like it's look at me. But going back to what you just said, and I realize I probably misspoke, saying if you've never been through it, you probably don't get it. But the thing that I really need to talk about and I want to address is if you aren't told or if you don't know, you don't get it. So maybe your story, like you and I have very same flavors, but maybe your story isn't the same as mine, but maybe your sister's was or ours, or
Right.
maybe your mother's was. I just did a huge speech in Los Angeles and I had a man come up to me afterwards. He goes, I was that child you were speaking about, the child that had to separate my parents. And I was like, whoa, and this is a big dude. He was like 6 feet tall, 6
Right.
foot, 6'1".
It's that you never know who you're going to touch with your story. And
Exactly.
it could be somebody reaching out to me today about, hey, my husband's going through it. And, how did you handle it? And that kind of thing. So, you know, I just tried not to be as demanding as I could have been. I just, wanted the basics: love, support, drive me to chemo, make sure I got a movie so I could put on my thing.
Well, what's amazing is I need to go back to my old profile and look when we actually became friends on Facebook for the first time.
God, when was that?
It was a long, long, long time ago. Because before I ever met you in person, I knew you'd had cancer. I knew who you were. I knew you were from Tampa. We knew all of the same people.
Mhm.
Actually, you recognized me before I recognized you. And it was one of those moments that when I was a Beachbody coach, I was trying to connect with other women that were like in the fitness or diet industry or whatever. And that was honestly back then, 10, 15 years ago, as far as my thought process went. That's before I really understood how powerful connection and story and what social media really can do for you. And we became friends on my new profile, I don't know, 4 years ago probably. And then I walked into an old,
The old place.
yeah,
I
an
used to
old
work.
fitness place or a diet place or whatever you want to call it. And you recognized me. And that was as far as I really thought about it. But then when I gained 100 pounds and my husband had been taking care of me because I was in and out of the hospital. I mean, Bo tried to kill me. I tell people that, but I'm not kidding.
I'm not kidding. I'm not going to let that kid forget that.
No, I'm not
You
either.
do not
Trust
talk
me.
to your mother bad because you tried to kill her.
But I remember thinking, I was like, I have no idea what to do. I don't have the capacity for half this stuff. And I remember you were my first phone call where I was like, I can't do this. And I'm not where I want to be, but I lost like 40 pounds with you.
Yeah. And the thing is that when you walked into that other place where I was health coaching,
Yeah.
because I was a health coach back then, not a certified nutrition coach, and I saw you and Matt, and because Matt came with you,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, she doesn't know I'm here. Like, because
Had no
when
idea.
we make ourselves small, you didn't know. Because had you known, you would have reached out to me and been my client there. But when I saw people lose weight, gain weight, lose weight, gain weight, I took a step back and I was, I was working there while I had chemo and cancer and everything. But I took a step back and said, there has to be something more. There has to, I need to educate people, not just in losing the weight, but how to live their life and change their lifestyle and change their habits and maintain that weight loss. Because there was no maintenance type, like, what do I do now?
Yep.
It's not just, hey, I got a wedding to go to and let me whittle you down. And then you're back 6 months later. So that's why I left there and I opened Be Healthy Weight Loss and Wellness. It's not about the weight loss because it's about how you feel. It's about being healthy. And every time I talk about it, somebody's like, oh, that's why you named it Be Healthy. Yes, because I have had my struggles. I was a chubby kid.
Oh,
I
girl,
wasn't the most popular.
I get that. Trust
Okay.
me.
Chubby kid, teased, my thighs rubbed together. And now my daughter tells me the other day, your legs look real skinny. And I'm like, well, I'm working out, I'm doing strength training, which is part of what I teach people is like, you have to build muscle. Can lose the weight with whole food, real food, fresh food. And that's what I'm trying to teach people. In addition to my body scanner, I have a 3D body scanner, which kind of is like an avatar. You hate it because it shows every inch, every bulge, everything. But that's my goal is to show people where their lean mass is, where their fat mass is. And that's why I have partnered with a doctor who owns Rejuvagenics. And yes, he's doing the Ozempic shot, but he's contracted me to do the nutrition coaching for all of these clients because it's super important to keep your lean mass up. I don't begrudge anybody from doing that because that's your choice, right?
Yep.
But my job is to help you understand what your body needs while you're going through that and helping the other people that don't want to do that learn to change their habits and lose weight the healthy way. Like I do virtual coaching all over the country. And my ladies in Massachusetts are like, oh my God, I just love you. You're giving me all these tips and tricks. And like cottage cheese is your new best friend.
I love cottage cheese.
Let me tell you, you can make some really good things with cottage cheese and
Pancakes. You can make really good with the protein
I'm
and the
telling
pancake.
you.
Like that.
People don't know that.
No.
And they're like, oh,
But the worst part is
wow.
I do. And I still, because I'm tired and I'm building a business
Right.
and, I'm on this mission, just like I'm sure Tony does this to you. Hey, babe, did you eat today? Did you, like, I know you're better about it than I am, but I get on these tears and I just process oriented, but not so great at it myself.
Right. And that's why like at Be Healthy, we have some, protein bars and things like that for, okay, I'm on the go. But that's not my main objective. We have electrolytes, which you need to drink your electrolytes because you know they're good for you.
Too much caffeine.
Because if you're dehydrated, you can't lose fat. Okay.
True.
You can't flush it out. And we have these awesome little 3-ounce 15-gram protein shots, which a lot of the people that are going to the gym, they just throw them in their purse. I have one in the car and you pop them open in between meals and you get 15 grams of protein. So, but it's about learning to cook and learning to fuel your body correctly and not going long periods of time without eating because you're not going to feel good. You're not going to be healthy. This isn't as much about weight loss as it is about feeling better. And like I said, my people up north, they're like, they can't really go out and walk. And
it's cold.
Yeah, it's cold. And we joke about it, but they are changing their habits and they're changing their foods and they're eating more. And one said, man, I haven't eaten this much in like 10 years. And she's losing 2 pounds a week.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And I say to her, but how do you feel? She's like, I feel great. I feel like I got tons of energy. And I go, that's what I'm talking about. She goes, I feel healthy. And that's my goal is to get people healthy, get off as much sugar, because cancer, sugar.
Oh yeah.
We don't.
Well, bacteria too, like virus, like and viral. I mean, sugar is the fuel of pretty much anything that's bad. And I know all things within moderation, but people just don't understand. And the way that, unfortunately, the way that our food processes are in this country, I love it. Like when Matt and I were on our honeymoon and we went to Paris and Germany, I ate whatever I wanted and I still lost weight because they have like a third to a quarter. And I think somebody just recently told me, maybe it was you, I don't remember, that there's certain things that England can't carry certain syrups that Starbucks has because it says it's above the legal limit of sugar. And I'm like,
But you're
this is
going to
crazy.
Starbucks and you're having like an entire day's worth of food
Oh, easily.
in your drink. Whereas
And you feel cruppy.
Yeah. Whereas you can do it totally different. And that's my job, is to help you find those alternatives that are going to keep you healthy, but still give you that feeling of like I'm cheating. And listen, don't get me wrong, girl. I enjoy a good vodka every once in a while. Okay. And I enjoy a good baked potato every once in a while, but it's about changing your lifestyle, and learning how to flush it out afterwards, what to eat, when to eat it. I don't begrudge anybody a vice that they have, like a Red Bull or something like that. I say that because you have one right there.
Yeah,
But yeah, like, you know what? But later on, one thing I say to everybody, it's not, oh my God, I screwed up. Okay. Like I screwed up breakfast.
no,
You
that's
take
defeatist.
one meal at a time. Just because you effed up one doesn't mean your whole day is effed up. Okay. You just recover and you do better. So it's all about doing better than the meal before, or just keep it good.
Well, and that's the thing, when you know what you're supposed to do. And yes, I feel a little seen. That's all right.
What?
I did go to bed early, or try to go to bed last night early, and I woke up at 3 a.m. going, oh my gosh, that's the answer. And we'll get into that later. But, and I couldn't go back to sleep because that's how entrepreneurship is. It's like, and I joke with my friends that are entrepreneurs, but it's true. When you get an idea that you're like, that's the missing piece.
You mean like you called me yesterday?
Yeah.
I got it. I'm like,
Yeah.
let's do it.
Yeah. And but it's, then you beat yourself up because you're like, why did I not see this before? And you go down the rabbit hole. But again, that 2-minute tantrum, you go, okay, you get 2 minutes to not feel this way anymore. And it's what you're doing. And I just want to really shine the light on you for a second.
Oh, geez.
What you're doing.
Sorry. I love that. I love when you do that. No, I don't.
You are on my podcast. Hello. It's changing lives. And again, you don't know what you don't know. And as you very succinctly put it earlier, when you be better, you can do better, should you choose. And, sometimes I forget how much I know until I talk to you. I'm like, oh, damn, I do know that. And, people come to you because they trust you. They know I always joke with people, it's no love, trust, buy. It's not a joke. It's true. However, people are so focused on looking a certain way that they forget, do you want to be able to run around with your kids? Do you want to be there to see your grandkids grow up? Because if you're doing nothing but yo-yo dieting or completely ignoring it and going off the rails,
exactly.
I think I read recently that the used to be the standard woman size was like a size 14. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Marilyn Monroe, I think, was a 12.
Yeah.
12, 14.
So,
like that.
And I think standard sizes, she was like an 8'10", but still back then that was something for a Hollywood starlet to not be like, But now it's like a size 16, and we're just ignoring the problem. And I feel like you are such a puzzle piece for trying to, yes, a quick fix to a certain degree is fine. I get it. That's needed sometimes. But let me help you keep going instead of quick fix, quick fix, quick fix. And then you fall off the rails because as soon as you try to actually live your life and maybe enjoy a vodka or a baked potato or whatever that looks like, you gain 10 pounds because your body's going, oh my God, food. You
Right.
can't do that.
I want people to eat food all the time. That's why my people up north is like, oh my God, I made this awesome soup, or I made this awesome dinner, and thank you for this recipe, or, thank you for the accountability. And, I build the relationship. Like these ladies,
what's needed.
when, one of them went to maintenance and she lost 25 pounds. She's so cute. She's like 4 feet. She's so cute. And she's like, doing great. She's maintaining. Recipes are going back and forth. But she's my friend. And we built this relationship. And I know her, grandchildren. And she sends me pictures. And she's so happy that she can get on the floor and play with them and take them where they need to go. Whereas before, she just didn't feel good. She wasn't healthy. So that's my goal, is we need to be able to sit on the floor and play with our grandkids. We need to be able to be there for our children and grandchildren. And with the breast cancer and all of the things that have happened to me, this is super important to me, super important. And if I can change one person's life, then my job is done. Like I went through all of this, not for look at me, but let me tell you what I've been through so that I can help you. I can help you. And if it's not, you don't want to do my program, come and scan. Let's go over your scan. Let me tell you your risk of disease because my scanner is really great. And let me give you some tips and tricks and let's build a relationship. And that's what I'm here for.
I do have a love-hate relationship with that scanner.
I know you
However,
do.
I was thinking about it in the shower this morning because that's
Oh,
where my
jeez.
best thoughts. Actually, it was the bathtub. That was a lie. It was the bathtub because I was writing out a whole plan for Unfiltered and where I want to go with this. But what the StyQ does, much like because the BMI a lot of time is absolute bullshit.
Yes.
It's toxic. I mean, I could get on a soapbox for weeks about this.
And we don't focus on that number on the scale.
No,
Ever.
So
we focus on lean mass.
Exactly. And I feel like as somebody that has struggled with bulimia, has struggled with disordered eating, has struggled with starving myself, has struggled with pretty much everything except anorexia, because unfortunately I like food a little too much. I probably shouldn't joke about that, but I never had the control to do that. So, and we're passing it on to our kids.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter's recently gained some weight because she's been injured so much of 2023 with her Ehlers-Danlos and everything else. Like, just to share with the audience, I was at the chiropractor getting an x-ray this morning because we couldn't get her into an x-ray tech, and I can't get into Florida Orthopedic until the 22nd of February, which is totally unacceptable, but that's a different episode.
Right.
So it's so scary, and I joke about it, but it's not funny.
It's not.
It's not funny at all. And in these kids, especially the ones, because the instance of, autoimmune diseases and genetic conditions is also becoming more common.
Right. And it's not about like, people go, oh, I got to eat less. It's not about that. It's about, okay, spaghetti and meatballs. Why don't we do some zucchini noodles? Why don't we do some
turkey sausage
with turkey sausage? Why don't we do spaghetti squash? Why don't we change our habits, which will in turn teach our children there's an alternative to those things. And when you're changing your nutrition, you're feeling better. Because I don't know about you, but I don't think I've had pasta in a very long time. But when I used to eat it, I just felt yucky and tired and lethargic.
I think. Oh, Dan Tana's in Los Angeles. I did have some.
How'd you feel?
Have some. Tired, sleepy,
See?
Very, very sleepy. I'm not going to lie. It was very, very good, but it was very heavy.
And it's okay every once in a while, but like I'll go to, I don't know, True Food Kitchen, and I'll get this spaghetti squash casserole and I'll add some chicken on it. And it's really good. So if we start to teach our children that there's an alternative to all of those things, if we do it, they'll do it.
Well, that's the thing. And honestly, going back to talking about our knights in shining armor, because that's what they are. I would joke I wanted Prince on a white horse, and I got a lawyer on a white Jeep, which was fine. I was fine. I was like, okay, the universe has a sense of humor. Cool. But
he's the best. Though.
He is. And so is Tony. But the thing is they still look to us, and not to belittle men at all, but we are their partners. We're the ones that tell them like, hey, and they do see us as these huge, strong beacons. And I forget that sometimes. I really do. And I'm like, why won't you do it? Oh, because I'm not doing it. That's why you're not doing it. Like, oh, crap.
Yeah. Tony jokes with people and they'll say, oh, do you have plans this weekend? Ask my wife.
That's exactly what Matt says.
Ask my wife. Or he'll say, what are we doing this weekend? What do we have this weekend? I go, what do you want to have? He goes, well, I don't make the plans. I don't do the things. And he's like, well, what are we doing? So, we are strong. We kind of rule the roost. But let me tell you something. When Tony takes his peacock feathers and
yeah. There's not much my husband cares about, but what he does, you better pay attention.
You better pay attention because there is no way, shape, or form I ever emasculate him. No. He is like
Well, Tony's what is he, Italian? No,
he's his dad is from Spain.
Okay.
Canterbury. His family's from Canterbury, Spain, and mine was from Asturias, Spain.
Okay.
Which is weird. And then his other part of his family was from Mexico, Michoacan, I think it was.
Okay.
Mexico. So his name is not Italian or Spanish. Or
Okay.
it's,
I've never
it's more
known. I was just
Mexican.
curious.
Like his grandmother used to make him tamales and enchiladas. Okay. So, and I was raised on milanesa steak and boliche and picadillo. So it's a big.
Well, just to your point, it's, people see men a certain way. And I love the fact, my husband's a big dude and he was a football player, did all those things. And he is still such a mush ball.
Yep.
You see them as this, whatever. And they just want to be loved and loved right. And honestly, that's what we wanted.
Well, and that's the thing, because when I got with Tony, like he was 35 when he got married and never been married, never had any kids.
Yep, that was Matt.
And that was Matt. So that's why
I was like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah. And he's like, well, I sewed my oats a little bit. And I'm like, yeah, great. Well, here's my kid and you can have her. So he kind of took that on, and he, became stepfather, friend. And, now my daughter and her husband work for my husband. So it's truly a family business for him. And then I have my business over here, and I'm still an integral part of his as well. So, I say to him the other day, I said, I'm trying to run my business and you want me to help you run your business, but you only are running your business. So how does that work? I said, and I'm over here making dinner, taking care of the dogs,
family
doing all
meeting
the things.
time.
And I said, so you have one business you're running, and I'm over here juggling all of it. And he goes, I know, and you do it so well. And I'm like, okay.
Oh, buddy.
So he knows what to say and when to say it, but and it's just bouncing things off of each other, a lot, because he's in business as well. Like, I know you talk to Matt too.
Oh, all the time.
Where do I go from here? How do I find my niche? And the you can do this, and I just was talking to my daughter on the way over here, the older one, and she's like, you got this, Mom. She goes, that part of your story is not your story. And we were talking about, me being married to her dad. And she goes, you have done, and I think I needed to hear it. She goes, you have done so many amazing things, and that should be your platform, not that one thing. And I said, yeah, I know, Ashley, but that was part of me, which made that into this and this. And now I've done all of this. So it's still part of who I am, but it's not enough to give it airtime anymore, because I'm over here. And Tony's like, that was 4 years of your life, 5 years of your life. You've been married to me for like almost 22 years now. And he goes, you're the longest girlfriend I've ever had.
Dude, Matt tells me the same thing.
And I'm like,
I'm the longest wife, girlfriend, fiance.
And he says that, push it. And I said, I pushed it for so long until you made me uncover it.
I invited you.
Well,
I did not
with
you.
Well, you said you need to do this. You need to do, and the I call it the therapy that I had with you to uncover all of these things and write it in a book and put it in your whatever it takes book, in addition to the Slaying Tampa Bay book. I felt like it lifted, like it's gone. And it's not ever really going to be gone, but it's gone to where I don't have to give it life anymore. I have to focus on where I've come and what I'm doing now, not how he made me feel. But thank you for lighting a fire under my butt, because telling me I can't is always going to be that I will.
Well, thank you for that tee up, because one of the questions we talked about prior to this was talking about how did you become the hero in your own success story. And before we dig into that, I want to just address that I think you and I have the same observational opportunity, that we don't give ourselves enough credit, that we, I would never have done this without Matt. I would never have done this without Tony. I would never have done this without these people. And maybe that's true, but that part of you was already there.
Yeah.
It was maybe a little deep. Maybe it was,
you need the right partner.
Correct.
To help you uncover who you truly are.
I said I wanted to start a podcast, and Matt goes,
okay.
So why don't you figure it out? Call Alexis. I was like, oh, okay.
Right.
I can do that. Are you okay with that? He goes, yeah. He goes, can we pay the mortgage? Yeah. Can we pay the other bills?
Yeah.
For now.
Right.
He goes,
Because
okay,
we do rely on them for, a lot of help in a lot of ways.
of course.
And we want to make our way, but
we forget about all the things we did to even get there.
Right.
So tell me a little bit about how you became the hero in your story. It's something we've worked together a lot on, and I want everyone else to hear at least a little bit. I don't know how much time we have left, so we'll see.
Well, which part?
The part you want to tell. The part about where you become the hero.
Well, I think there's a couple parts. The first part was when I had enough courage and belief in myself to leave that situation and take my daughter with me and go through the divorce and all of the things, that I did. And I felt like I was super strong. I didn't feel that at first, but I started feeling better about myself and not believing some of the things that I was told. And listen, everybody, when you're 20, you believe anything anybody tells you about yourself.
You don't know who you are.
You don't know who the hell you are. My dad used to say, you're just a frog and you're wet behind the ears.
It's like my dad.
God rest his soul. But there are a lot of, my dad isms and he was my stepdad. So he was everything to me. And I finally had the courage to leave. Okay. And then did it by myself for like 7 or 8 years. And that's when my mom would say, wow, you are so strong and you're so resilient. But I still didn't feel like I was good enough. And then when I did meet Tony, I felt like I could be myself and I could do anything I wanted to do. Like, wow, this whole world is amazing that I can do
anything.
These freaking things. Yay. And he loves me. And he thinks the sun rises and sets out of my behind. And, and I'm leaving this morning and he's like, damn, I have a hot wife. And I'm like, can you stop?
You do look absolutely gorgeous today. I will fully admit that.
Thank you.
I'm rocking the ankle brace because apparently I can't pay attention and fall downstairs, but you look stunning.
Well, thank you. And in my 20s and in my 30s, I didn't feel that. I didn't feel strong or worthy of it. Okay. And then the melanoma I felt was just a blip. But honestly, I feel like when I got breast cancer and when I had the removal of my breasts and the reconstruction and the chemo, and I was bald, as you can go back on my Facebook and see
I remember those pictures.
The bald picture, which I just posted for cancer awareness.
Yeah. I just realized we must have become friends in the middle of all that.
Yeah. And I'm not ashamed. I let everybody see my journey because I was like, you know what? If I'm going through it, somebody else is going through it. Mm-hmm. And they can come to me and tell me they're afraid. And I have people reach out to me all the time. My friend just got diagnosed. Will you speak to her? Absolutely. Give me her phone number.
I want to see you on stage. That is my next goal.
Well,
is we got you on the podcast.
Your lips
we
to
got
God's
you in
ears.
a book. We got you. 2 books.
So that's where I feel and then opening Be Healthy. I did this by myself, Mandy. I was on the floor with files and people calling me. Why? Not because of our relationships, that they trusted me and wanted me to help them. So I think there's so many parts to where am I the hero in my story? Like I left it.
You got the whole Marvel family going on.
I really just need to sit back and say, I freaking did this.
We're changing it to explicit. So,
okay.
I
fucking did this, man. I did it. I did these things that I didn't think I would ever amount to how I feel right now because somebody told me I wouldn't. Somebody told me I wasn't good enough. And you know what? I'm damn good enough. And I want to share that with the world. And I want to help people, whether it's breast cancer help, whether it's nutrition help, whether it's just being an accountability partner. I'm happy to help because I didn't live through this cancer and this nightmare of what I lived through, not to pay it forward. And that's what my legacy is going to be. She paid it forward. She helped people. And along the way, she was a really good friend.
You are an amazing friend. I will fully admit that. And, you're just an incredible human all the way around.
Okay, you're doing the Oprah thing again.
No, Oprah. No, I don't bullshit well. I don't, you know me. So I know we're going to have to wrap it up for today, unfortunately, but why don't we give everybody one last idea of where to find you? Because obviously they're going to hear your story and want to connect.
Well, it's Be Healthy Weight Loss and Wellness, BeHealthyTampa.com, Instagram, Be Healthy Tampa, and Anita Garcia Arredondo on Facebook.
Tell me that isn't a name that says you need to do something with your life.
I know, right?
You know? Well, thank you for joining us on Unfiltered. We hope this episode fueled you and encouraged you to keep pushing towards your goals, no matter what. You can learn more about me and my services at mandyschulis.com, Mandy Schulis across the board. Google my name, it'll pop up. But I will also include in the show notes a link to connect with myself and Anita and on LinkedIn. And we hope to see you next time. Thank you for getting unfiltered.